Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast. Here's your host, Logan Bailey.
Welcome to the NWO Sports Podcast, football edition, brought to you by our primary sponsor, BSN Sports. I'm your host, Logan Bailey, and joined today by Keith Brown, Tony Fairchild, and AJ Fairchild producing in the back. So thanks again for joining me, guys.
Yes, sir. You're welcome.
And for those of you listening, aloha and welcome. We are in Hawaii to kick off this podcast, so I had to bring out the Hawaiian shirt like I usually do at least once a podcast season. So these are the most comfortable things ever. So glad to be wearing that. But guys, week 4 is upon us. Non-conference schedule for most schools and pretty much all schools is concluded. So finally starting to figure out how some teams are shaping up here down the stretch come conference play.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting as we start conference play with most of these teams to see, where they stand, with their conference, foes.
Yeah.
You see them play like we always talk about Sonora, and some of these schools played really tough non-conference games. Now we'll see what they do in the conference.
Yep. Same here. Some schools scheduled some games they obviously knew they were going to win going in. Then other schools took advantage and just scheduled tough games before the non-conference. So kind of see what separates the good from the bad teams here coming up in week 4, conference play.
And I'm especially excited for this podcast. There's a lot of good content in here. Spent a lot of time this weekend putting together the script with hot takes, and there's some hot takes that may cause some fights between some schools, but a lot of good content, and we're in for a really good time. So
awesome.
Let's get things kicked off. Adding a new section here. If we happen to get some good content, this is just news and notes from the area, and wanted to bring up a couple things, but this is really cool. This Friday, September 12th, Jets from the 180th Fighter Wing are actually conducting flyovers at 7 different Northwest Ohio schools in honor of Military Appreciation Night. So I can't even ever tell you I've ever seen Jets fly over for a high school game before,
awesome.
But during college games, it's absolutely incredible. So this is going to be cool. But they're going to start off Swanton High School at 6:40. They're going to fly to Springfield High School at 6:42, Clay High School at 6:45, Northview High School at 6:49, Southview High School at 6:50. Then fly over to Maumee High School at 6:51 and finish off at Anthony Wayne High School at 6:55 just before kickoff. So going to be really cool if you're at those schools. And
they're going from Northview to Southview to Maumee in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Must be close.
I mean, when you're flying hundreds of miles an hour, those jets can really book it. But it was pretty cool. 4 of the pilots that were actually selected for the flyover, Colonel Curtis Volz, Major Josh Caudle, Captain Todd Kopic II, and Captain Josh Utter. And they're all residents of Anthony Wayne School District, and 3 of them actually have children who attend school in the district. And this was according to Anthony Wayne spokesperson Rebecca Sanford from WTOL's interview with them. But pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. And actually, for all of those games, all military veterans and active duty service members get in for free if they show military IDs. So
I think
it's absolutely incredible.
Oh, that's great.
I think all schools should at least do it one game a year.
I think last year we had 2, didn't we? Had Archibald did one. Thorne played Archibald, then Paulding. Paulding. So those are great. Those are great way to honor the veterans from the military in the area.
For sure. And the other big point I wanted to make was record breakers from Paulding High School. Colt Hunt, quarterback from Paulding, broke Coach Peyton Beckman's single-game passing record of 342 yards, and Colt's record ended up being 347, so congratulations to Colt. Blake Roanhouse broke Rob Kessler's career touchdown record with 22 touchdowns, and Blake also broke Coach Joe Fisher's career yards receiving record with 1,884 yards, so congratulations to Blake on breaking those 2 records. And again, going into the season, we said Blake was going to be one of the top receivers in the area, and he's really showing off that and turning out to have a terrific career at Paulding High School. So just wanted to recognize those athletes for some of their career highlights.
Yeah, he's a hell of an athlete, Logan. I think he was a GMC basketball player of the year as a junior last year. So,
and last year, I guess I kept on thinking he was a senior at the time. So there's a lot of good players on that team for sure. All right, we're going to get into last week's game prediction results. Matthew and myself, Logan, finished first with 18-3 records, so a pretty solid week from us. Second was Keith with a 17-4 record.
And we could just stop right there.
Back.
And fourth was a tie between AJ and Tony with 13-8 records. So a little bit of trouble last week from those guys. So
went on a limb on a couple of those and didn't pan out.
And on the year, Matthew's leading with a 52-8 record, which is 87%. Absolutely crazy. Second is myself, Logan, with a 50-10 record, good for 83%. Third is Keith with a 47-13 record for 78%. And tied for fourth, Tony and AJ tied once again with a 42-18 record and at 70%. So
we'll take Matthew's computer away for a week.
Yeah, no kidding. Maybe switch it out with Tony and AJ's.
Yeah,
bring them back to the pack.
I'll just copy and paste the picks.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of these game recaps, but definitely heard it from the Delta faithful because we all picked against Delta.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. We were all wrong with the Delta Panthers. We weren't really sure what we were going to get out of them, but really proved us wrong. I'll admit that first and foremost because I've heard it from all kinds of people from Delta so far, but they kind of shocked us. North Central got their first win of the year, so that was solid.
Yep.
That was another game that stumped us. The Ottawa-Glandorf-Kenton game, we all had Ottawa-Glandorf pick, and Kenton stumped us in that one. And Tenor and Archbold, that got a lot of people as well, too. So those 3 games really kind of made a difference for our selections this last week.
Yeah, but in fairness to us, we've been supporters of Delta football probably the last 3 or 4 years. Right. So we're always pulling for
that was one of those
Coach Vickers. And
I almost took that game just because they were at home. Yeah. I'll go with the flow.
Yeah, that's the thing, with all the teams. I know, we may pick against schools, but, we're always supportive of any of our covered schools.
Absolutely.
But it's all in fun of games. And I appreciate hearing back, just like the Defiance Napoleon game. I heard it from the Defiance kids, and rightfully so. We just give them some locker room board talk and maybe provides them with a little bit of extra motivation, too. So, all right, let's get into the Week 3 game recaps. And we got a lot of good games here on the slate. First one we're going to do is the NWO Sports Game of the Week from last week, and that was Lima Bath at Van Wert. So if you were at this game, you're in for a real treat. Lima Bath ended up winning this one 35-28. At the half, this game was tied up 21-21. Total offense for the game, Van Wert had 355 yards, 193 rushing with 162 passing. Lima Bath had 286 yards, 210 passing with 76 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Van Wert had 3, 2 interceptions and 1 fumble. And Lima Bath had 1 fumble. Looking at some top players of note from both teams. From Van Wert's side, quarterback Zach Crummy, again, had a nice solid performance. 18-27, 67%, 162 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions, but he had 20 carries for 55 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Running back Xavier Kelly, 21 carries, 138 rushing yards, good for 6.6 yards a carry, 1 rushing touchdown. And he also had 39 receiving yards on 5 receptions and 1 passing touchdown as well. And then wide receivers Kaneki and Hillary each had a touchdown reception, contributing to the Cougars' offense. And from Lima Bath, quarterback Zach Welsh, 18-22, 82%, 169 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. And wide receiver Logan Markley, 7 receptions, 48 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. So, guys, pretty solid game from 2 WBL schools. And honestly, I think out of this, Lima Bath is putting themselves in good position for a shot at the WBL title against Wapak, probably, most likely.
Yep.
But I think Van Wert also showed a lot of what they're capable of this season, too.
Yeah, I think last week we talked about briefly when we picked this game, boy, this could be a shootout. Really, it's a 50-50 game for both of us, or most of us here. But, heck of a game by Bath. But without seeing the final score, you just look at the numbers and like, well, Van Wert had a pretty good shot at winning that one, but good victory by Bath there. But Van Wert, they're going to be a tough team to stop for the WBL this year as well. So,
yeah, I mean, in Van Wert, as you saw, their quarterback had 27 passing attempts, 20 carries. They're using him all over the place, and obviously, that Zach Crummey's obviously an athlete, so they're going to keep using him. And I picked him, but it just didn't pan out.
Yeah, and one kind of other point I wanted to bring up. I know we don't cover Bath, but I heard someone talk over the weekend or on social media who their offensive coordinator was, and they said Grant Sherman. I thought, Grant Sherman? Like Grant Sherman from Kenton? I don't know if you guys know, but I actually watched him play when he was in high school, and he's a few years older than me, but absolutely incredible quarterback for Kenton. He was pretty much that next generation of Kenton's offense after Matty Mock was there. Yep. And broke so many records. And, just wanted to list a couple. I went down a rabbit hole because of all the stats that he had. I'm not going to list all of them, but it's incredible. So Grant Sherman was first. He holds a state record. He's first for passing yards in a game with 684, and that was set in 2012. Second for passing yards in a season with 5,920, only behind Ben Mock. 12th for passing yards in a career, 9 passing touchdowns in a game. I mean, list goes on and on, but also ranks 10th nationally for passing attempts in a game with 78.
Oh, my word.
And fellow Kenton alum and Blaine Huston threw 86 times in 2019. Now, granted, that was after Mike Mauck had left, which Mike Mauck was the father of Ben and Maddie Mauck.
Right.
But I looked on that list, and again, like I said, I went down a rabbit hole. On the nationally ranked passing attempts list in a game, 4 out of the top 10 belong to teams Mike Mauck coached between Kenton and Glendale and Springfield, Missouri. So absolutely incredible. But anyways, where I was getting with all that.
Let me stop you a second, Logan. 78 throws. That's like in baseball. They'd be pulling if he's going for his pitch count.
That's just unheard of.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And I remember, I think we went and watched, who did they play? I want to say maybe they played Brian when Brian was good back in the day. Yeah. But I remember watching Grant playing, and their offense, they did not have a run game, obviously. But basically what they did is they would throw like little bubble screens, and that essentially was like their run game. They got to one of the receivers out in space and just try to set them up, and that was essentially their run attack. But absolutely incredible seeing this kid sling the ball all over the place. And Mike Mauck is, again, probably one of the most pass-oriented coaches of all time, probably in the country. So pretty crazy. But anyways, where I was getting with all that is, Grant Sherman's the offensive coordinator at Bath, and no wonder they're having some success with that offense. Right. So definitely knows his stuff, and can really develop the quarterbacks over there at Bath.
That's nice to learn from somebody with those accolades.
Oh, for sure.
Really.
But again, just kind of talking about this game, I think it shows that Van Wert is the real deal. I know there were some questions, and me personally, I didn't know what we were going to get out of them. The last couple of years, they kind of struggled here or there. Maybe not necessarily the Van Wert of the past, but I think this game really goes to show that, Van Wert has a lot of talent, and they're just as good of a team as Bath, and they can compete with the best of them in the WBL. So pretty impressed out of the Cougars this last week.
Definitely big win for Bath. Yep.
All right, let's move on to the next game. We're looking at Edgerton at Montpelier, and this one was another great game to go to. Edgerton ended up winning 29-28 at the half. Montpelier had the lead 14-7. Total offense, Edgerton had 313 yards, 206 passing with 107 rushing. Montpelier had 118 passing with 74 rushing. Turnovers, Edgerton had 3 with 2 fumbles and 1 interception. Montpelier had 1 interception. And how this game ended up wrapping up in the fourth quarter, Montpelier went for 2, and Edgerton got the stop. Montpelier then recovered the onside kick, and Edgerton's Miles Baker got the interception on the final play of the game. So this one, again, playing out to the final seconds and minutes of the game. So nice win out of the Bulldogs, and great effort from both teams. Some top players of note from both teams. From Edgerton, quarterback Maddox Baker, 17-28, good for 71%, 206 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. Wide receiver defensive back Kellen Sanchez, 8 receptions, 133 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, 11 tackles on defense. Wide receiver defensive back Carter Gibson, 4 receptions, 21 receiving yards with 1 receiving touchdown, 2 interceptions on defense, and defensive lineman Jackson Flower led the team with 12.5 tackles and 1 TFL. From Montpelier, running back Griffin Cooley, again, this kid is a beast for the Locomotives. 18 carries, 120 rushing yards, good for 6.7 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. He had 29 receiving yards. Wide receiver Jackson Staylor, he had a 23-yard touchdown reception. Wesley Hartsock, 5 receptions, 68 receiving yards. And quarterback Hayden Sharps, 14-28, 50%, 154 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. He did have 3 interceptions, but he had 9 carries for 33 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. And we're going to see that rushing touchdown come up later for a possibility at winning play of the week. It was absolutely incredible. Play kind of broke down, and he scrambled for about a 30-yard touchdown. It's pretty athletic play. But guys, thoughts on the Edgerton at Montpelier game?
Again, as I said last week, I apologize to Coach Flagel and Edgerton because a heck of a start. I mean, really is. 3-0, scoring just like it did last year. With all the graduations they had last year, you would have thought they would have had a little lull at some point, but they're showing no effects whatsoever of anybody that graduated last year to have an impact. So
they got a lot of good skilled players
picked up back. Right where Kellen Sanchez, 8 receptions, 133 yards. Maddox Baker picked up right where he left off last year. But Montpelier on the other side, heck of a game by them. I mean, that's a quality game. But as we've seen more times in the last 3-4 years, even college and the high school level, when it comes down to going for the tie or going for the win, most coaches will just go for the win. Let's go for 2 guys.
Yeah, go for 2.
You know what? 18 seconds to go, I think, in this game when the 2-point conversion was attempted. And That's one of those. Coach Robinson's like, probably didn't even question it. We're going. Let's go.
You make it. You're the hero, and if you don't, well then, why didn't you just go for the tie and go to 100%? It's always you always get a second guess. But guys, Edgerton. I'm looking at Edgerton's schedule. They literally can start the season 6-0. They have Antwerp, Wayne Trace, and Ayersville next 3 games before they face off against Paulding and then Fairview. I really think that they have a great chance of starting a season 6-0, which is unbelievable for those guys. And like Keith, you said, graduating all the people they graduated, you would have thought maybe but they've got the schedule lined up for them, and they're doing the job.
Yeah, and I think again for Edgerton, like you said, if they start off 6-0, how big of a confidence booster is that heading into conference play too? They're starting off 3-0. The wins keep on building. And then we talk about that last half of the schedule is where they kind of get into some of the tougher teams of the GMC. But at that point in time, the Bulldogs should be riding sky high on confidence, playing some of their best football. Yeah. And they're primed and ready to go against some of these big-time GMC matchups. So I think Coach Flegel and the boys are, they're going to have a lot of success these next couple of weeks. Yep. And, come time for the big games, I think they may upset one of the top 3 teams in Tenora, Paulding, or Fairview. I think they'll get them. And I think last year they got Paulding pretty good out of that was a
shocker. Yep, last year so, sure was.
Would not surprise me one bit in the future. But again, even with Coach Robinson and the Locomotives, solid performance out of their team. Again, it's one of those games that really flip of a coin, and it comes down to the final play. And they had an opportunity, but again, those 2-point conversions, we've seen a lot of them here, especially to start the season.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Looking at Columbus Grove at Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry ended up winning this one 26-21. Another close game. At the half, Patrick Henry was only up 7-0 on Grove. Total offense for the game, Patrick Henry had 346 yards, 196 rushing, 150 passing. Columbus Grove had 305 yards, 205 passing, 100 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Patrick Henry had 1 interception. Columbus Grove had 2 interceptions. Some top players from Patrick Henry. Quarterback Tristan Rosebrook, 13-22, 117 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. Running back Cal Schroeder, 16 carries, 105 rushing yards, good for 6.5 yards a carry with 2 rushing touchdowns. And he also had 1 pass for 33 passing yards. So getting a little bit tricky over there with some of the play calling. But Schroeder continues to be a staple in that offense and an absolute workhorse. Running back Jaden Rudder got quite a few carries. Surprised to see him. 22 carries, 78 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Reed Krieger, 3 receptions, 52 receiving yards, 1 receiving touchdown. From the flip side, from Columbus Grove, quarterback Landon Best was 8 of 19, 42%, 150 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns with 1 interception. Running back Brody McClure, 16 carries, 87 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver Trevin Baxter, 4 receptions, 96 receiving yards. And wide receivers Gavin Barraza and Gavin Baxter each had a touchdown reception each. So, guys, thoughts on the Columbus Grove and Patrick Henry game?
Just crazy. Grove hasn't been playing well the first couple games, and they come out this game and playing one of the the tougher teams in my opinion in the NWOAL and put up a fight. So nice comeback there for Columbus Grove to try to put something together and make a game out of this.
Yeah, a lot of points scored in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Coach H was bopping in, giving us updates on this when we were doing our game at Sonora. But I guess it says 2 things. Patrick Henry. Like going into this game, I think if you probably took a opinion or a poll on most people, they would have thought Patrick Henry probably going to win this game 35-7-ish. And on the other side, Columbus Grove pretty much fought every second of the game. So with conference play starting up this week, I think Columbus Grove will get back to their winning ways. Patrick Henry still hey, you got another playmaker now. You got, Kel Schrader and Rudder there. So you got 2 guys that can tote the ball at any given time. That's a plus there.
Yeah, I think my big takeaway from this game, I think the general consensus, if you ask the typical high school football fan, they kind of thought maybe Patrick Henry, like you said, was going to blow this one out of the water. Yep. Well, yeah, Columbus Grove struggled the first 3 weeks, but we also know, what kind of foundation that program has. Right. So, definitely know Coach Schaefer's not going to go in there and lay down to anyone.
Right.
And, had the boys ready to play. Again, I from what I've heard, O-line, D-line are a little young and, some kids are a little bit green, but just going through some growing pains. I really think, I know we'll kind of get to it with Tenora too. We had talked with them. They lose 8 guys on the defensive side of the ball in Tenora, and they're going through growing pains as well too. So it's one of those things. Columbus Grove plays a pretty solid non-conference schedule. Similar to what Tenora's played. Grove plays. They play Liberty Bend, Pandora, Gilboa, and then they play Patrick Henry. Those are 3 solid football teams. So again, it's just tough. Especially when you're reloading as a high school football program, and you replace a lot to graduation. It's hard to grow up in a hurry when you're also playing programs that have solid culture and they're typically 7-8 win seasons. It's tough to go up against them each and every week, especially when you're young and you're trying to figure out some things early on in the season.
Young teams going against Hall of Fame coach Bill Enselman. That's a tough ask. It really is.
It is. But overall, another great game, and Columbus Grove's going to have their hands full in conference. There's a couple good teams. LCC is pretty solid, and along with Bluffton's pretty solid too. So we'll see how they play down the stretch. Next game, we're looking at Gibsonburg at Delta. This is the big one. I know we caught a lot of slack for obviously picking Gibsonburg, but Delta won 49-28 at the half. Delta was up 20-12. Total offense, Delta had 431 yards, 333 rushing with 98 passing. Gibsonburg had 227 yards with 73 passing and 154 rushing. Turnovers, Delta had 1 fumble. Gibsonburg had 2 interceptions. Some top players from Delta. Running back linebacker Marcus Nagel, 23 carries, 202 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, good for 8.8 yards per carry. He had 1 of 1 passing attempt and completion for 35 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. And he also had 1 interception on defense. And again, Marcus had a play, was contributing of a little bit halfback toss that could be in contention for play of the week as well. We'll see that one later. But that pass was to Alex York, and that was a 33-yard reception. Running back Gunnar Taylor, 62 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And running back Vincent Martinez, 60 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. And then on the flip side, Gibsonburg, running back Grant Smith, 22 carries, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. So, guys, thoughts of the Gibsonburg at Delta game?
Well, like I said earlier, I thought about picking Delta just because they played at home, because they're always tough at home. And you said it's one of the tougher places to play. So, but maybe by us not picking Delta, that gave them the motivation they needed to go in there and stomp on Gibsonburg a little bit. But very nice game, especially by Nagel. That was a nice game.
I mean, that's a quality win for Delta.
It is.
I mean, that really is. I mean, you see, like we said, Gibsonburg coming in. Gibsonburg, nice history there. Quality program.
Solid team.
Which is why we probably, which is why we
too.
all took, Gibsonburg. But what can you say more about Delta and Coach Vickers? Every year they continue to impress.
Yep.
Here we are again, 2025, and they're impressing again in the first 3 weeks of the season. So,
and honestly, they had a really good shot at week 2 of beating a very good Fairview team.
Yep.
So this Delta team, they're going to make some noise in the NWOAL, and I'm excited for the hot takes this week because there's one regarding a lot of these teams. So a lot of good talk later on. But again, Marcus Nagel, I had said it going into the season, was going to be one of the better players for Delta. And, he's turning out to be one of the better players in all of the NWOAL. Kid's just a sophomore, too. Very, very athletic. So glad to see him have a lot of success. 202 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and a passing touchdown. It's not too bad. So,
and a pick.
So that's
pretty solid.
Yeah.
And a pick to pass.
And an interception on defense.
That's a heck of a Friday night right there.
That's quite the performance. But, Delta is really getting in the swing of things come conference play. So good to see them come out with a big-time win there. Next game, Archbold at Tenora. We were there live with Tenora Rams Live. Archbold ended up winning this one 35-27. At the half, Archbold was up 28-0. And total offense for the game, Archbold had 409 yards, 247 rushing, 162 passing. Tenora had 368 yards, 237 passing with 131 rushing. Turnovers for the game, Archbold had 0. Tenora had 2 with 1 fumble and 1 interception. I thought this stat was pretty interesting in myself. Time of possession, Archbold had the ball for 20 minutes and 34 seconds, and Tenora had the ball for 38 minutes and 35 seconds. So Tenora really controlled the clock this game. Some top players from Archbold. Running back Ryder Ryan. Man, what a running back. I was very impressed with him, watching him live in person. Kid can absolutely ball. 19 carries, 219 rushing yards, good for 11.5 yards a carry, 3 rushing touchdowns. Quarterback Maddox Pinter, 12 of 20, 60%, 163 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Thought he played very well and was very efficient with the football. Wide receiver Morgan Harris, 3 receptions, 89 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. That 6'3" frame really helped out on Friday night. And one kid I wanted to mention, I don't know what his stat line was for the game. This kid was a menace on the defensive line. Wyatt Klein, kid's just a sophomore, but he's got a bright future ahead. I tell you what, at defensive end, stands 6'5", 225. That kid was getting in the passing lanes of Owen Farrell. Jeez. He was getting sacks. He was getting tackles for loss. I mean, he was all over the field. Very aggressive player. If he continues to get in the weight room, the next couple of years are going to be scary for him. Yeah. I see a lot of potential in him. On the flip side, looking at some top players from Tenora, quarterback Owen Farrell. And this is unofficial. I'll read a stat line and then I'll tell you this. 26 of 44, 59% completion percentage, 237 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. I told you guys Friday, I'm pretty sure unofficially he probably broke the completion in a game and
the week before
passing attempts. Well, how many did he have the week before?
Oh, good Lord. He threw
for more than 26?
I'll have to go back and look, but
I don't know,
pretty
but
close.
This is the most Tenora's ever thrown the football.
Oh, by far.
It's crazy. You look back at some of the previous records, but breaking all of them. I think the most that we ever threw was probably when I was in school and Brevin was at quarterback.
20 times, maybe.
We'd only throw 20 to 25 at the very most, and no one's topping that in completion. So absolutely incredible just to kind of see, the change of, being a running powerhouse to playing 5-wide basketball on grass and spreading the football around. But running back Cooper Rapogel, 17 carries, 131 rushing yards, 7.7 yards a carry. May be one of the most impressive runs on the season that unfortunately didn't quite finish in the end zone. This kid had a run like Marshawn Lynch. Have you guys ever seen that video highlight a couple years ago? Went absolute beast mode. Love the way he plays. Got a lot of heart and determination when he plays, and you can see it shows in all aspects of the game. Wide receiver Owen Reynolds, 6 receptions, 61 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. And wide receiver Dylan Shively, 6 receptions, 51 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. So, guys, thoughts on the Archbold at Tenora game?
Hey, really quick, the Farrell was 24 of 36 last week. He's 26 of 44 this week.
So 2 more completions. I'm pretty sure that's got to be the record for completions and attempts in a game for Tenora football history. So
but getting to the game, it just a tale of two halves again with Tenora. First half, they shut out, not playing well at all. Tons of penalties again, which they got to clean that up. I think Keith did a quick stat and said it's 10 a game.
We talked about it before we came on there. I think there was 14 2 weeks ago at Otsego and 10 last week versus Archbold. So
it's crazy, and you got to clean that stuff up. So, but second half came out, played very well. Archbold didn't play quite as well. I think Archbold, honestly, I came out with maybe kind of a little lackluster to start the second half, in my opinion.
I felt like the second half, Archbold, they knew they had a big lead, and I felt like they were playing not to lose. You know what I mean? I felt like the first half, it was all gas, no breaks. The second half, I think they were just a little bit more content with that big lead. But that's like I said at halftime, in our halftime show, I said, I wouldn't necessarily count Tenora out. They've been in this position before playing Fairview the last year, and they can score a lot of points in a hurry, and they really did.
They did, yeah, absolutely. And they got the stops when they needed them. And, you mentioned Wyatt Klein. What a beast. And people like him for Archbold is what led Tenora to a lot of their penalties, false starts and holdings. They had a lot of holding penalties, a lot of false start penalties. And, when you got players like that coming off the end, he's fast, he's quick. Kids tend to try to jump, get right on the snap count, and they end up leaving a little bit early, or they don't leave early enough, and now they got to grab a hold of him and keep from just smashing into Owen Farrell. So, that was kind of the offensive line was having a tough time with Archbold's D-line the other night.
Yeah, and, talking about Archbold's offense, I know we named all these skilled players, but there's one player in particular from Archbold I just want to give a shout-out to, and that's Anderson Bentley at fullback. Man, did he have a lot of nice kick-out blocks on Friday night, which really opened up a lot of holes for Ryder Ryan. Yeah. Kid had a heck of a game. I know it doesn't always show up in the stats, but, I can always appreciate a good fullback. In college we had a lot of good blocking fullbacks. Never got their name in the, recognition or anything like that. But, similar to almost an offensive lineman, but they're just as important as anyone else. So, nice game out of Anderson too. So.
Oh, boy. I think you guys covered a lot of it, but start with the positives for Archbold. Ryder Ryan, this kid is electric.
He is.
I mean, if it wasn't be for the Liberty Center 2 running backs, he may actually still be in the top 3 of rushers in the NWOAL, honestly.
I know, but
he's going to be nipping on their butt.
And that could be a hot take in itself, too.
5 really good running backs in that league.
Yeah.
And, boy, and just to see Ryder in person again this week from last year to this year, So
see his development.
much different. There was one carry, I think he went for 89 yards. I don't think he got touched.
Yeah.
Straight up the
I know
middle.
he had one 53-yard carry, 180-something yard carry.
Yeah. Another Morgan Harris, fantastic receiver for Archibald. But Archibald played really solid, as you guys said, offensively in the first half. Kind of played like Fairview did a year ago, not to lose in the second. Flip side, Tenora, boy, oh boy, attention to detail, guys. The coaches can coach all they want, but it's up to you to pay attention to what's going on out there.
Right.
I mean, the coaches can holler and coach you as much as you want, but if you don't pay attention to what's going on out there, the coaches, it's out of their hands. And that's,
right.
You see a lot of things that are non-coaching related out there, honestly. It's just attention to detail. Pay attention to what's going on. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And there was probably 3 or 4 flags that were picked up Friday. So there would have, been another 13-14 penalty game for Sonora. First half was just couldn't get anything going. It didn't seem. As soon as we got something going, then it would be a 5 or 10 yard penalty. So it's 2nd and 17, 3rd and 17. So your drive automatically ends just because of penalty again. Now, but for the second straight week, the Rams didn't quit. I mean, just when you thought, we even talked about it off air, hey, Archibald could score here. It's going to be a running clock. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But Sonora did not give up. And, they came within a possession, which they had a chance in the last 90 seconds of going down and, tying or taking the lead. But if you're Coach Becker, I guess your non-conference season is over and you're welcoming in the GMC schedule. That's kind of a early breath of fresh air, but you got a couple tough opponents coming up here. But just got to play 4 quarters of solid, headstrong football. And I think Sonora will be fine, really.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's just if you can piece together 4 quarters of solid football. I think, my other big takeaway from Archibald is I think that's a solid football team.
They are.
If they eliminate some of those mistakes in the second half, like I said, I think the mentality just changed a little bit. They had an error. The one play was bad snap, high snap.
Fourth down.
Sonora got the football, and then,
inside the 10.
Inside the 10, and they ended up punching it in. So, that was a big mistake that kind of, I believe, started their scoring streak, I think. There.
It did.
But a lot of great athletes. I was really impressed out of Archibald. Coach Dominic, again, has a fabulous team.
Solid
great
coach.
Coaching staff.
Absolutely.
Another staple in Northwest Ohio football. But Archibald's going to make some noise. And, again, NWOAL, I'm saving it for later. There's a lot of good conversation because there's a lot of good teams. I think, obviously, Liberty Center is the heavy favorite. But second place, I think, is wide open in
for grabs
at this point.
Really?
But, and then the last thing I was going to bring up, I just could not figure out why to go for 2. Remember,
we're down by 7.
5 minutes to go.
It went for 2.
Was down by.
We're down. I think we cut it to 7. Didn't we?
Would have been 14. We were down by 15.
Or was
we could
it?
have cut it to 7.
Yes, and could have cut the lead to 7, but went for 2, and ended up being down by 8.
Yep.
So essentially, you had to play for another possession. That was one thing I could not figure out for the life of me. I just didn't. I don't know. I just didn't know what was going on because at that point, the mentality, the mental aspect of the game totally changes because you go from being down 7 if you kick the extra point and make it, and you're still in the game. But then the whole mentality changes. Look, we got to score a touchdown, and we have to get the 2-point conversion to tie the game. You're not even going for the win at the end of the game.
For me, Logan, I totally agree with you in that aspect because I think it changes you mentally because you got stopped.
100%.
And it's what broke the momentum.
Yep.
If you scored, then that keeps the momentum going. But you just kick the field goal, you get the field goal in, it counts. You just go down. The momentum stays on your favor.
Yeah, and honestly, Parker's done a good job as the kicker. I don't think he's missed this year.
No, he's been, I think, 100% from PATs. But, yeah, I just saw a whole shift in momentum in the team after that conversion, that failed attempt. But, it would go on, and Owen would throw an interception to end the game in a kind of a last-ditch effort to move the ball down the field. But solid game. It was exciting. First half, obviously, Sonora didn't play well. Second half came back and made a game again for 2 weeks in a row where it comes down to the final wire. So let's move on to the last game here, and that's Evergreen at Lake. The Vikings are making some noise this year and ended up winning 38-28, or ended up being 3-0 on the season. Halftime, Evergreen was down 14-21. Total offense, Evergreen had 385 yards, 212 rushing, 173 passing. Lake had 420 yards. 274 passing, 146 rushing. Turnovers, Evergreen had 2 with 1 interception, 1 fumble, and Lake had 2 with 1 interception, 1 fumble. Some top players of note from Evergreen: quarterback Bryce Bolger, 14 of 20, 70%, 173 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, but carried the ball 16 carries, 87 rushing yards with 1 rushing touchdown. Wide receiver, defensive back Will Reitz, 2 receptions, 24 receiving yards with 1 receiving touchdown, and he had a pick 6 on defense. And running back and defensive back Quentin Eisel, 6 carries, 69 rushing yards, 5 receptions with 40 receiving yards and 1 receiving touchdown, and also led the defense with 13 tackles. So, guys, thoughts on the Evergreen at Lake game? I mean, it's nice to have a quarterback on your team like Bryce Bolger. Again, we said he's like a 6-year senior, it seems like, for the Vikings with all the experience that he has. So, thoughts on this game?
I mean, for me, similar to Delta, it's a quality win when you can go to Lake and beat Lake at Lake High School. Another semi-balanced attack for Evergreen. Nice passing attack from Bryce and Quentin Eisel. Like he was on the coaches show. We love that kid. 6 carries, 5 receptions, and led the team with 13 tackles. Now that there is a heck of a Friday night. So a good job by Quentin. But yeah, solid win by Evergreen. And similar to Delta, they're looking to get in that top third again, which Evergreen finished, I think, third last year in a conference play. So they're just looking to finish where they left off last year, and they're off to a really good start.
Yeah, and Evergreen's got a schedule that's favored them a little bit for a couple of games. I think they got Wauseon, then they're at Archbold and at Bryan. Archbold game is going to be tough. I think they should be able to handle things at Wauseon. We'll see. But, then they got Bryan. Then of course, they go against Liberty Center in the end of the season, with Delta and Patrick Henry back to back. So, right now they're riding high, and hopefully they can get a couple more wins under their belt. Maybe get to that 500 mark, maybe go 6-0. Never know.
Yeah, a lot of solid athletes out of the Vikings. Again, week after week, they find a way to win. Coach Coles is doing a great job stepping in, first-year head coach, and the Vikings are having their winning ways to start the season.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. DSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to Play of the Week, sponsored by Titan Sports. So be sure to submit your play each week, and we'll continue to recognize some of the top plays from Northwest Ohio and the great football players. Titan Sports, want to give them again a shout out, offers revolutionary wearable GPS technology for high school football and strength and conditioning programs, giving you all the metrics to get the most out of your athlete. So again, we thank them for sponsoring this segment. This week, this is the most plays of the week I've ever had submitted. I mean, there was probably 20 plus plays sent in, so a lot of them to go through, but we got it narrowed down. So we're going to take a look at some of the honorable mention plays from the Northwest Ohio area. Check them out right now.
NWOAL. All right, Tigers go to the offense from their own 43-yard line. Tigers with a wing right set, give to the first back through. That's Cruz. Cruz cuts past one, over the top of another, with a lot of great downfield blocking. Throws out a straight arm, breaks another tackle, pushes another one away. He's into the end zone. It's another Liberty Center Tiger touchdown on the more power.
Two receivers near side, one far side. Rep logo with the handoff. Bounces off a couple tacklers. 50. Still going. 45. Makes a man miss. 40. 35. He's still going. 30. 25. 20. 10. Hold down at the 7.
What a run.
What a run.
Unbelievable.
By Rep logo.
Boy, oh boy. How many tackles did he break there? And then nice play, and then you get a penalty, and then just kind of kills the drive. Uh-oh.
Handoff, Ryan breaks through. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, touchdown, 89 yards. Ryder Ryan.
I'll tell you what, Ryder Ryan is quick.
Set to punt.
As I always say, there can only be one. This week's Titan Sports Play of the Week is going to go to Hayden Sharps, quarterback from Montpelier, on the scramble and finishing the end zone from 25 yards out. Man, oh man, this was an athletic play. And again, another Montpelier locomotive featured on Plays of the Week. So check that out right now. So you guys saw the play. Again, Sharps broke one tackle, two tackle, three tackles, picks up a block and able to scramble in and dive to the pylon for the touchdown. What were you guys' thoughts on this play from Hayden Sharps?
Oh, that was a heck of a play. I mean, it kind of reminded me from, like, dating my age, like Steve Young back in the day, you know? But yeah, Hayden had a heck of a run and well deserving. And keep them Plays of the Week coming. 20?
Yeah.
That is amazing. So
that's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, that was a heck of a play by Hayden Sharp. So well deserved.
Yeah, did a nice job and a lot of good ones in there. So yeah, keep sending them.
Yeah, we had it narrowed down to about 5 of them. We sat here and looked through them, and Hayden we thought was the best out of that group. So very, very solid effort out of Hayden. And again, like Keith said, keep sending in those plays. I think it's great. I'm glad we added this segment so we can kind of showcase some of the talent in the area with actual video clips too. So. All right, we're on to Player of the Week from Week 3, sponsored by BSN Sports. So again, a lot of solid performances from Week 3. So I'll go through the list of some of the players who made the final cut, and then each guy will kind of talk about who maybe caught their eye for possible Player of the Week, and I'll release the actual BSN Sports Player of the Week. So let's start with the list here. Edgerton wide receiver defensive back Kellen Sanchez, Montpelier running back Griffin Cooley, Delta running back linebacker Marcus Nagel, Archbold running back Ryder Ryan, Tenora quarterback Owen Farrell, Fairview quarterback Will Zedike, Antwerp defensive back Kane Hines, Lipsick quarterback Mark Kirkendall, Liberty Center running back Garrison Cruz, Paulding quarterback Colt Hunt, and Paulding wide receiver Jordan Mann. So A lot of solid players on this list. Who was maybe a player that was kind of catching your eye for potential player of the week?
For me, being at the Tenora Archbold game, Ryder Ryan just was a beast, and 219 rushing yards, 3 TDs. He just had an awesome night.
Keith?
Yeah, for me, I just want to touch on somebody who is just a bit out of our coverage area. Now, Logan doesn't cover every school in Northwest Ohio, unfortunately, but Braxton Leith, 231 yards on just 13 carries, and he had 4 touchdowns from Braxton Leith from Crestview. Just give him a kind of a side shout out. But for me, another Montpelier kid, Griff Cooley, 18 carries, 120 yards, almost 7 yards a carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. He had 4 receptions, 30 yards. Montpelier off to a good start. Heck of an offense they put together this year. So.
Yeah, and you talk about Leith from Crestview. I think he's got about 700 rushing yards on the season, which is incredible through 3 games.
I mean, I'm not a mathematician. 231 yards divided by 13 carries is about 17, 18 yards a carry.
It's a lot of yards.
I mean, I don't know, but good Lord.
But after talking about all these players, the BSN Sports Player of the Week is going to go to this player from Delta, and that would be running back linebacker Marcus Nagel. 23 carries, 202 rushing yards, 5 total touchdowns for the game, 4 rushing and 1 passing, and an interception on defense. It's definitely worthy of Player of the Week. So Player of the Week will receive NWO Sports gear courtesy of BSN Sports. So we want to thank sales rep Jim Garris and Rob Held for being great supporters of coverage for athletics in Northwest Ohio. So at some point we'll get a shirt out to Marcus Nagel of Northwest Ohio Sports. So again, congratulations to Marcus. All right, we are on to Week 4 Power Rankings. Again, such a hot debate. Such a hot debate. I think I looked back at the Facebook statistics, and this was just on Facebook, but views, so it tells you how many views you get on this stuff. These Power Rankings get 40 to 50,000 views.
Gee whiz.
On just Facebook. So
that's awesome.
It's crazy how many people look at this. And again, a lot of things are taken into consideration, strength of schedule, obviously players, quality wins, quality of losses too. But this is basically what I formulate together. I follow football really closely, so this is kind of the best that I put together. And these guys are going to agree or disagree with the rankings, and we'll kind of review them. So let's start off at number 26. Coming in at number 26 is Swanton, 25 North Central, 24 Hilltop, 23 Ayersville, 22 Wayne Trace, 21 Antwerp, 20 Hicksville. Thoughts on this group here?
I'm just looking at 4 GMC schools in that bottom group.
Yeah, for me, there is a way Swanton can get out of the bottom 26 spot, Logan. All they have to do is beat Liberty Center this week.
That is very true. If Swanton beats Liberty Center, they're going to jump a lot of spots. I can tell you that.
Probably not the number 1, but
no, but at least maybe cut that in half. I don't know. But 19 Eden, 18 Bryan, 17 Montpelier, 16 Edgerton, 15 Wauseon. Thoughts on this group here?
I think you got Edgerton a little low, in my opinion. Playing well.
You think even with the strength of schedule?
Yeah, I think they're still a little low. I think, Tenora's 0-3, and you got them at 14, and I think, Tenora, they're 0-3. They need to be down a little further.
14 Tenora, 13 Ottawa Glandorf, 12 Paulding, 11 Lipsick will save the top 10.
Looks good.
Top 10. And number 10, it's hard to find out where to place them.
Yep.
Columbus Grove, 9 Archbold, 8 Delta, 7 Evergreen, 6 Napoleon will save the top 5. With Columbus Grove, like we had talked earlier, they're going through growing pains, but again, they show that they can still go out and compete with the best of them. And Patrick Henry, it's a 1-score game. They do get blown out week 2 in Liberty Benton. Week 1, they could have very well won that game against Pandora, a very good Pandora Gilboa team. I mean, they are 0-3, but man, they've got the athletes. They're just kind of green in some areas. Yeah. I think that's my biggest question is I don't know where to place Columbus Grove at this point in time.
I understand how you do it, Logan. Like if Columbus Grove were to play Montpelier, who are you going to take to win? I mean, that's how I do it going up and down this list.
Yeah,
so,
that's kind of a way I look at too.
So I think they're, even though they're 0-3, they played a very tough schedule. Should have a win. Possibly could have, So as of now, 10's probably good for them.
I think another big point to check out. 7 is Evergreen, 8 is Delta, 9 is Archbold. Again,
great.
that conversation of that top half of the NWOAL is going to be tough. So that's for sure. And we still have 2 other teams to throw in there too.
Right.
Coming in at 5 is Defiance, 4 Van Wert, 3 Fairview, 2 Patrick Henry, and 1 Liberty Center, which has been there for a long, long time. Yeah. But a little bit of a shakeup between Van Wert and Defiance. But guys, thoughts on the top 5?
That's perfect in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
All right. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Hey, from us.
Yeah.
Don't wait till you post it.
Yeah.
But big takeaway, NWL, I think the top half of the league is fairly strong this year. A lot of solid athletes. Liberty Center at 1, Patrick Henry at 2, and then you have, like I just said, Evergreen, Delta, and Archbold all in the top 10. It's going to get exciting in conference play coming up. So, all right, we'll wrap up things here. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with everyone's favorite, the Hot Takes, presented by BSN Sports.
Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Readers' Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. Welcome back to the NWO Sports Podcast, and we are on to the Hot Takes presented by BSN Sports. A lot of good ones here, and some of these may cause some issues between some fans in Northwest Ohio. The first one is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, kind of regarding the NWOAL, but I'm going to read what was submitted to us. Again, these are fan submitted. Keep submitting them each and every week. And again, I did not say these myself. These are from fans. The first one. I'm not sure Patrick Henry is what we thought they were after struggling with a down Columbus Grove team this past week. I was fully expecting this to get out of hand, but it turned into a good game. Considering Archbold hung around with St. Henry, who had Marion Local on the ropes, I think Archbold versus PH is going to be a can't-miss game. I'm calling it now. Archbold, Evergreen, or Delta will get a win versus PH this season. The race for second place in the NWOAL is wide open. Mark it down. Again, I totally agree. Second place in NWOAL is wide open. I think this is going to be probably the most competitive it's been for second place in NWOAL in the top of the league probably ever. I don't know that you've had, really 4 quality teams that have a legitimate shot at coming in second. Again, coming in second because Liberty Center is the heavy favorite, and rightfully so. That no one's been able to knock them off the last few years. But again, you're talking Evergreen, Archbold, Delta, and Patrick Henry. Those 4 teams have some solid players on them. But before we get into that, just want to address the first part. I don't think you can take away from Patrick Henry being a close game with Columbus Grove. Columbus Grove is still a very good team. they're just going through growing pains. And I don't know that you necessarily take that away from Patrick Henry. I think it tells you more about Columbus Grove than it does Patrick Henry. That's just kind of my opinion. But guys, I don't know. I mean, Evergreen going into this week is 3-0. Delta's 2-1. Archbold's 2-1, and Patrick Henry's 3-0. And they have some quality wins, each of them. So, guys, what are your thoughts on this?
I honestly think we kind of talked about this for the first 3 or 4 weeks. Not a general topic, but just in our game reviews, our game previews, that this year, the conference outside of Liberty Center, you don't know who's going to finish behind Liberty Center in second or third or even fourth place. And obviously your second place finisher this year could probably have at least one, if not 2 losses.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going to battle against each other. It's not, the NWOAL of years gone by where you kind of have your top 2 or 3 teams and everybody else is way down here. I mean, you got a solid 5-6 teams in the conference this year. That's including Liberty Center. You exclude LC, you throw all these teams in a hat we've been talking about here, all 4. Evergreen, Delta, Archbold, and PH. Any one of those 4 teams could finish in second place.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely. And it's just looking at their schedules of the first 3 games they've all played. I think Delta's probably had the tougher schedule, in my opinion. Maybe not. I don't know. They played Fairview and Gibsonburg. Not to cut you off, but you're exactly right, Tony. Like, look at the schedule. Like, nobody's really played cupcakes here. Yeah, I mean, Evergreen, they play in a Adelphus Jefferson team and a down Ottawa Hills team, but they took care of business.
Yeah,
very handily. And then beat a good Lake team. You're looking at Delta. They ran with Fairview, had them on the ropes. They had that game. Was in the lead in that game.
Yeah, they led a lot of the way,
and then beat a very good Gibsonburg team and fooled us all. And Archbold, hung with St. Henry,
and St. Henry almost beat Marion Local last week.
And then you've got, and then I don't know. I still don't know where Tenora's at there, and I'm almost let Tenora come back and sneak one out of them. But then you look at PH, they played Hicksville and Ayersville the first 2 games, but again, took care of business. Yeah. And then had a tough game against Columbus Grove. So to me, all those teams are matched up. They're taking care of business against the teams they should be, and the teams that, the tougher teams, they're either winning or they're close. So I don't know. I think my money is on Coach Enselman. He's going to win it by experience. Yeah. I think he's going to win all those games.
And the thing about that is, like, when we talk about all these schools, like, even without looking, we all can probably name 2 or 3 players from every team outside of Liberty Center and Patrick Henry, which probably in the past, I don't think any of us could have.
Right. That's what I threw on here to talk about. I mean, every single team has a handful of guys that are absolute dogs, and they're going to go out there on Friday nights, and you're going to get 110% out of them, and they're going to contribute big-time plays and big-time minutes to each of their teams. You look at Evergreen, you got quarterback Bryce Bolger, been there forever, Will Reitz, Joey Okus, Quentin Eisel, and then you go to Delta. Evergreen likes to throw the ball around. Then you go from Delta, a contrasting style. They like to run the football. You got, an upcoming running back in Marcus Nagel. Sorry, I'm used to Tenora's
Nagel around here, right?
Offensive lineman, defensive lineman Brady Smith, Gunnar Taylor, Wyatt Flickinger, and then you got running backs Vincent Martinez, Gunnar Taylor, and wide receiver defensive back Alex York. You go to Archbold. Again, I was really impressed with Archbold's balanced attack. They can run the football on the offensive side, and they can throw the ball as well. But you got guys like Ryder Ryan, Morgan Harris, Anderson Bentley, Maddox Pinter, Wyatt Klein. And then you go to Patrick Henry. And again, another very balanced team that can throw the football if they need to, but are coached by Hall of Fame coach Bill Enselman, Cal Schroeder, Reed Krieger, Grant Smith, Adrian Delgado, Akivian Kreider, Trent Johnson. Like, these are some names that really pop off the page to me and are huge contributors. It's like, which one do you go with? I mean, every single week you're taking the best of the best and you're going to go at it in conference play. And I'm excited. I mean, I'll tell you what, though, if you're even a high school football fan, you don't even have to be, a fan or a parent or a player of one of these schools. Follow the NWOAL because you're in for a ride. You better buckle up because each and every week there's no guarantee. Maybe the only guarantee is Liberty Center coming out with a win. But who knows? Maybe one of these teams will challenge Liberty or catch them off guard. But they've definitely got some talent. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I just thought it was a really good point because NWOAL again is wide open. Keith, you had said it too. Like, just years past, it was maybe like Liberty Center and Archbold or Liberty Center and PH. But this year, I don't think we're getting that like we used to
not at all.
seeing.
Which is good. I like it.
All right, let's go on to the next hot take. And this one's,
I like it.
These are fighting words for
I like it.
the Liberty Center community. So Tigers fans, you better listen to this one.
Again, not from Logan.
Not from me. Not from me. This is
Or
from
us.
a fan.
That out there. No, not from
All
anybody
right.
here.
Here we go. Liberty Center prides themselves on state runner-up too much. They can't actually win the game. So this is a two-parter. Someone submitted that. The other part was Liberty Center is the 90s Buffalo Bills of Ohio high school football. So we'll go into that second part first. So again, I was born in 97, so that tells you how old I am.
Keith and I lived it.
But you guys were able to witness it.
Yep.
And I kind of heard stories of the Buffalo Bills but anyways, for those of you who don't know, from 1990 to 1993, those 4 seasons, the Bills made it to 4 consecutive Super Bowls and they lost each of them. So kind of an accurate comparison in terms of, Liberty Center being really, really good, and they continue to make it all the way, deep playoff runs, but they come up just a little bit short.
Yep.
But I was surprised. Yeah, whoever said that was pretty solid comparison. But the last 4 years, this is what Liberty Center has done. In 2021, they went 11-3. They ended up losing in the regional final to eventual D6 state champion in Cary. They lost that game 7-31, and Cary would end up going 15-1. In 2022, Liberty Center went 14-1. They lost in the D5 state semifinal to eventual Division 5 state champion in South Range 0-35. South Range ended up going undefeated, but Liberty Center was NWOAL champs. In 2023, Liberty Center went 15-1. Lost in state championship to Perry 14-21. Perry went 16-0. Again, Liberty Center NWOAL champs. Last season, again, Liberty Center goes 15-1. They lost in the state championship to Ironton 17-28, and Ironton finished 15-1. Again, Liberty was also NWOAL champs. But I think if you guys look at this, you see a pattern. Each year, Liberty continues to get a little bit better. First couple of years made it to the regional final, semifinal, and then they followed up with 2 state championship berths.
Yep.
I don't know that I like the comparison to the Buffalo Bills, but I don't think that Liberty Center is necessarily priding themselves on state runner-up. We know that those kids are hungry, and we've heard Coach Moeller talk before. They didn't even like to talk about a lot of that stuff. They focus on each and every new season, kind of block out all the external noise, and it's a clean slate each and every year. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but on the other side too, I do want to say Liberty Center has placed themselves in elite category. If you're making it to the state championship 2 years in a row, you're making a state semifinal and a regional final in the last 4 years. That's pretty elite for Ohio football. Absolutely incredible. But what are your guys' thoughts on this? I think someone was just saying this to try to stir some things up, and that's exactly what hot takes are. So
I being a coach myself, if I look at that in my last 4 years, I would be pretty stoked. In both of the championship games, they had an opportunity to win.
Yep.
And they actually, I think they had to lead against Perry, if I remember right. They had to lead against them and ended up losing that game. I think they might have had to lead against Ironton too. I don't remember, but I know they had a chance to come back at the end of that game and put some points on the board. But I'm going to be happy with that. I'm not going to pride myself in it. Obviously, you want the state championship. And like I said, being a coach myself, I've been to 4 straight district championship games, and I've only won 2 of them. And I'm not happy. I want a state championship, right? So I'm not going to pride myself in being a district champion or whatever. I want to win it.
Yeah.
I want to win the next level, and then I want to win that next level. So I guarantee those guys aren't priding themselves on being a state runner-up.
55-6 over those 4 years.
Yeah. Your only loss in 23 and 24, your only loss was in the state championship game. People can say what they want, but only one team finishes the season undefeated.
Yeah.
I
believe the last regular season loss was probably, in 21, I think probably maybe Archbold.
Yeah, Archbold in playoffs.
That's what I was thinking.
A regular season loss,
Regular season. Then they beat Archbold in the playoffs. So been a long time since they've lost a game in the regular season. But Keith, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much covered everything. I think the key word to me there is what you guys said, the exact same thing, was pride themselves. I don't think Coach Moeller's going into the state championship game saying, "Oh well, we're here."
Right.
If you watched him on the sidelines during any of his games in the semifinals or finals, he's into it to the very last second of the game. So
that coaching staff's coaching their tail end off.
If you're a coach and the entire staff for Liberty Center, you're trying to win. You're not taking a bus trip there and going through all these practices to say, "Oh, hey, we made it to the state finals." if we win, we win. If we don't, hey, at least we're a runner-up. I mean, no, they're not saying that whatsoever.
I think, too, you see after those games, and not a single one of them is happy, obviously.
No,
I mean, they're so frustrated and angry and so mixed of emotions because they worked so hard and they came out just short.
That's a long
there's
season.
such a hunger for a championship over there in that community. Yeah, they're not priding themselves on state runner-up. They're priding themselves on their culture and getting to the very last game of the season and winning it all. I mean, that's their goal each and every year.
And you guys touched on it as well. It's the kids we interviewed, and Coach Moeller was like, "That's last year. That's a different team. This is 2025.
Correct.
We're worried about 2025. That's great memories. We were state runners up, but this is a new team and a new season, and we got the same goals." So,
and I just want to touch too. I think it's pretty impressive because we know the tradition of excellence they have over there in Liberty Center, but no matter how many players they lose to graduation, they just keep reloading, and players keep coming back and getting better and better. And now I want to bring up, they have 2 players on the roster getting Division I looks, and Kellen Weimer, he even got offered by Ohio State, and Garrison Cruz, and I believe he's got an offer from Toledo and some other schools as well. But in the past, Liberty Center's never had any players that got big-time offers like that. And who's to say? I think maybe part of it is maybe they got some more looks because of where the program is now over the last 4 years. You make it down the state championship, you're going to get a lot more colleges looking at teams like that because they know they have solid players. But you got 2 potentially Division I players on your roster now, and
when you get to that level, that's where the college coaches are at. They want to see the good teams, the good players. I'm not saying there's not good players elsewhere, but when you've gone there 4 years in a row, coaches from those other levels start looking because they know that team's well coached, and that's what they're looking for more than anything. They can develop talent.
Oh, absolutely.
Coaches can develop talent. If you got talent, they'll fix that. But they want kids who are well coached. And if you're making it to that state championship game year after year after year, they know that coaching staff's doing their job and training those kids, and they're going to what kind of athlete they're going to get quality wise.
Yeah, absolutely. More so, just as much off the field as on the field. So if a kid makes a mistake on the field, as Coach said, if you're a scout out there, you're watching how this kid reacts and how he comes off the field.
Right.
Is he mad at himself? Is he mad at teammates? Or is he just going to come back to the sideline, listen to the coach, and say, "Yes, sir. Yep, that won't happen again." Right. So that's a very good point, Tony.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of times too, college coaches don't want to put up with kids being a liability.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yelling at teammates, or like you said, making mistakes off the field, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, no, that's a very good point. I agree with you. And with Liberty Center, they've had the most success out of any program in Northwest Ohio, in entire Northwest Ohio. Only exception being Toledo Central Catholic, but that's another story because they recruit, and obviously they can draw from a little bit bigger of a pool from basically any top talent in Toledo. So. But outside of that, Liberty Center has had the most success out of any program. So, I like it. That's more of a true hot take than some of the other ones. Oh boy,
absolutely.
But, again, another good conversation piece. The last hot take we have deals a little bit with schedules. So this one was scheduling a non-conference matchup with a school from the Toledo City League is an absolute cheat code for points and seeding come playoff time. The second part of that we'll get to here in a minute. But yeah, I had kind of talked to you guys a little bit about it, and with the Toledo City League, all those teams are Division II and Division III. So I feel like for the most part, Toledo City League tends to struggle a little bit in terms of, they don't always have the top players, because if you're a better player in Toledo, where are you going to go? Toledo Central Catholic, you're going to go to Whitmer, you're going to go to some of these other big time programs because they're going to kind of draw from it because everyone's in close proximity. Right. But anyways, for example, I was kind of looking at some different teams, but say you're a smaller school. In this example, Bluffton and Otsego both played Toledo Bousher in a non-conference matchup. Both teams won by substantial margins. With Otsego, they won 35-7, and Bluffton won 54-21. Bousher's a Division II school. Now, Bousher went 0-3 in non-conference play, but when conference play comes, they're going to be competitive with everyone else. And all those schools that they're playing in conference are Division II or Division III. That's a ton of points on the line for them. Even if they get 3 wins out of the conference, if they get 4, that's a lot of computer points for a relatively easier non-conference game. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? I mean, I thought that was kind of a point that's been brought up and pretty interesting when you look at it. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
I guess I never thought of it that way, playing some of these bigger time schools and really racking up points for seeding.
Yeah.
So
Don't really have much to add on that, Logan. You kind of hit the nail on the head with all of that.
Yeah, I mean that's good foresight for the ADs to do that. I guess.
Right. I mean, I think with Otsego and Bluffton, I mean, they're putting themselves in a very, very good position to be, potential. What is it? Top 4 seeds now get buys.
I think so. Yes.
Like
and then if you're the top seed, you get home field advantage through the first 3 weeks.
I think.
Wow.
So how huge is that? I mean, come playoff time to play a home playoff game in round 3 of the playoffs. Oh my goodness, that's going to be such a huge advantage. So absolutely incredible. The second part of that hot take was sent in. Paulding needs a tougher pie non-conference lineup that will change the future of the program. So again, kind of tied into, schedules and, strength of schedule and things like that. And we've had this conversation in years past. I think the big thing, it depends on the team.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's not a clear-cut answer to this. For Paulding, they played Swanton, North Central, Delphus, Jefferson. Out of those 3 teams, they outscored them 148-7. Those teams combined have a 2-7 record at this point. Okay, obviously we know Paulding's played a weaker schedule, but my big thing is with programs like Paulding, they've really just developed in the last couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think you want to go out of your way and schedule a non-conference schedule like Tenora plays. Go out there, play Liberty Center, Otsego, and Archbold, and then come week 4, you're so banged up and your roster's already at 25 players, which is the lowest that Paulding's ever had. That's not what you want. I think if you're in Paulding's situation, and again, these are scheduled years in advance, so you don't always know how things are going to go. Maybe schedule a couple middle-of-the-road teams, maybe one kind of cupcake team. I would not go out there and play one of the toughest strength of schedules, but I think the correct answer, in Paulding's case, is somewhere right down the middle. I mean, I think playing tougher teams really preps you for some of the big time games. I don't know that you get much out of playing teams like with weaker schedules, just because you don't really see development and growth in your players. I mean, it's good in a sense that you're probably coming out healthy and it's a confidence booster, but when things get nitty gritty down the stretch and you haven't been exposed to those situations, I think that kind of exposes teams. Right. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Pretty much as you about nailed all the key topics, Logan. These are made way in advance, so you don't know what your team's going to be like. Like when the schedule is made, Paulding probably had 1 or 2 wins on the season. So if you're and their coaching was kind of shaken up there for a couple years in a row, so you don't know what kind of program you're going to have. So if you're like Tyler Aaron, the AD at Paulding, I guess you're just trying to make a schedule for your non-league at the time. You don't know what team you're going to have in 2 or 3 years. So you're just, unfortunately, playing the schedule that you're dealt at the time. But
I mean, you think about it, North Central's just a couple years removed. They had some success,
they were
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
They made the playoffs in their first year of 11-man. Delphus Jefferson is just a few years removed of being a quality program, but obviously this year all 3 of those programs are down. But
it's like Tenora playing Liberty Center to start the season every year. I mean, that's the opposite way, right? It's not a cupcake schedule. Right. You're going in there, you want to win the game, but you already know that it's going to be a tough, task.
To get hurt.
And, you're trying to come out of there not banged up, which Tenora did a couple times. Come out of there, a couple guys banged up, and so you're trying to. Like you said, you don't want to. Everybody's doing this, right? You go to the colleges, right? Like Ohio State plays Texas first game of the season, and then comes back and plays Grambling State, and puts up 70.
Awful.
You need a cupcake game in there to like help you learn your offense, and maybe throw some points to the board. That little
right.
But not all 3 of them. Put a different team in there. I think Paulding needs to get rid of Swanton. That's a drive, right? I mean,
that is a drive. Jeez, how long did we figure? That's about an hour plus easily.
Yeah. Like another, which I don't know if it's really off topic or not, but kind of shocking to me that we found out a couple weeks ago that Paulding's the smallest roster for football in the GMC, but actually has the biggest school size.
Yeah,
I mean to only have 25 kids.
Yeah.
Is on your football team is
lowest all time,
right? So then again, if you're like right now, you probably have a class similar to Antwerp. Probably maybe not quite as talented, but you have one of those classes that comes around once every 20 years.
Classes, yeah.
What's your program going to look like in 2 and 3 years? So if you schedule some tougher non-conference opponents down the year, then you wind up with 18 kids on your roster. Right. What does that do for your program?
You never know what you're going to get from year to year. Yeah. We're talking about public schools that just you get what you get.
Right.
You're not going out and recruiting kids, right?
Yep.
So you don't necessarily know what you're going to get from year to year. And again, speaking from the coaching side of it,
right?
I don't know what I'm getting from year to year. I know what my returners are and if they all come back, right? But you just never know. So I don't know. I would agree that Paulding probably needs to put one tough team in there just so you see how you really match up.
Yep. No, I totally agree with that. And one thing I was thinking too with, in Paulding's situation, they have 25 kids. We know it's an issue in Northwest Ohio with numbers dwindling on rosters. Paulding, say if they go out there and they schedule 3 really tough teams in a couple of years, say the tides have turned and, Paulding may not have as much talent. Right. The numbers are already low. What kind of kids going to go out there on a Friday night and get waxed the first 3 weeks, 50-0 against some really top teams? Yep. At this point, you almost got to look at the future of your program too. Absolutely. When you're scheduling. Yep. Again, it's hard to determine that with being public schools, but I agree. I think if you're in Paulding's situation, you schedule one tough one, maybe 2 easier ones, one middle of the road. I think you're in good shape. But again, it's easier said than done because, like you said, you're scheduling these games years in advance. But it's good to see Paulding have success. And I think, Keith, you're the one that says it all the time. You can only play who's on your schedule and go from there. So, good hot takes. So, other than that concludes all of them. So, keep sending those in. We'll keep them anonymous. We won't reveal who sent them. But, again, we thank BSN Sports for sponsoring that segment. We're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back with Week 4 game predictions.
BSN Sports is your go-to business for purchasing uniforms, equipment, spiritwear, and anything else your athletic program needs, giving you more time to impact lives on the field. With over 1,200 sales professionals who live, work, and serve in your community, you're always just a short drive or phone call away. Be sure to give your local sales rep and Jim Garris a call for any of your athletic supply needs. Looking for a personalized financial guidance right here in Bryan, Ohio? Meet Melissa R. Stockman, CHFC, a trusted Edward Jones financial advisor. Melissa specializes in retirement savings and income strategies, estate and legacy planning, customizable wealth strategies, insurance and annuities, and support for entrepreneurs and business owners. As a chartered financial consultant, she brings deep expertise and care in building financial plans tailored to your goals. Ready to take your next financial step? Call Melissa's office at 419-633-0647 or visit Edward Jones on 130 North Main Street, Bryan, to get started. Titan GPS delivers technological superiority and improved player performance through wearable GPS made for high school football and strength and conditioning programs. From speed training to athlete recruit to workload enhancement, Titan is the easy-to-use yet comprehensive GPS tool to get it done. There's no minimum to get started, and Titan will walk you through every step to success. Message us on X Titan Sensor to learn more and get in touch. Under the lights this Friday night. While your team is taking hits on the field, who's got your back off the field? At Batt & Stevens Body Shop in Defiance, we tackle the toughest repairs, from fender benders to full collision restoration. Our iCar Gold Class team scores big on quality and service. Proudly serving Defiance County for over 40 years, with certified technicians, advanced diagnostics, and lifetime warranties. We work with all major insurance providers. Batt & Stevens Body Shop, the home team when your car takes a hit. Visit us at batandstevens.com or call 419-497-3111. Fitzenreiter HVAC, keeping Northwest Ohio comfortable since 1955. Whether it's scorching summer heat or bitter winter cold, Fitzenreiter has your back with expert heating, cooling, and indoor air quality solutions for your residential and commercial needs. Need fast, reliable service? Call the local pros you can trust. Fitzenreiter HVAC. Give them a call today at 419-784-0828 or visit fitzenreiterhvac.com for more info. Northwest Ohio Basketball hosts premier basketball tournaments for boys in grades 3 to 8 in the area. Upcoming tournaments are right around the corner. Give them a call today at 419-283-5296 or check out their website at NWOBball.com. DeLarber Concrete and Hauling is your go-to provider for concrete and hauling needs. Flat work, pole barn floors, driveways, and patios. Hauling services for stone, mulch, and dirt. Call Josh for your free estimate at 419-576-0401. Nestled in the heart of Sherwood, Ohio, Crystal Fountain Park invites you to say I do, in a place where history whispers around every corner. Surrounded by 28 acres of woods, meadows, illuminated trails, outdoor chapels, a tranquil reflection pond, and fire pit lounges. Whether planning a wedding, rehearsal dinner, or elegant gathering, Crystal Fountain Park blends historic elegance with modern flexibility and heartfelt service. Visit crystalfountainpark.com or call 419-576-1910 today to book your unforgettable moment.
RE/MAX Realty of Defiance has represented Defiance County for nearly 40 years. Located at 1401 South Jefferson Avenue in Defiance, we have 13 agents ready and available to assist you in home buying or selling needs. You can check out all the listings at www.remax419.com or call us at 419-784-3029. Let our years of experience go to work for you. The Drop Zone Pizzeria is the #1 voted pizza restaurant in the region. Check them out for pizza, wings, subs, and more. Located in Ayersville and Stryker, or ask them about their traveling food trailer.
Experience award-winning care at Defiance Chiropractic Center, voted first place in the Crescent News Readers' Choice Awards Best of the Region. We offer chiropractic adjustments, acupuncture, DOT and sports physicals, and personalized wellness plans. Located at 1770 Jefferson Avenue in Defiance. Call 419-784-2300 today and feel your best naturally.
Check out Tenora Rams Live. Live events broadcast on YouTube and post-game results, articles, schedules, and more can all be found on tenorarams.com. Feel free to look up their Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram pages as well. We're back on the NWO Sports Podcast, and we're on to Week 4 game predictions. So a lot of good games on the slate, so let's get things rolling. First game is Edgerton, 3-0 at Antwerp, 1-2, kicking off conference play in the GMC. In this game, I really like the Bulldogs, 3-0. The Bulldogs are riding sky high. Maddox Baker and the boys are playing really well. Antwerp, again, coming off 1-2. I don't know if they have the firepower to keep up with Edgerton. This game's at Antwerp. It might give them a little bit of help there, but I think the Bulldogs take this one. Give me Edgerton.
Bulldogs are playing well, Logan, so I'm taking Edgerton.
Yeah, I'm going Edgerton.
Edgerton for me.
And Matthew had Edgerton as well. Next game, Fairview, 3-0 at Ayersville, 0-3. Fairview, again, the Apaches, been speaking very highly of them all season long. I think they continue their ways, and they're going to end up 4-0 at the end of this week.
Yep, a game of a battle of two really good friends with two coaches here.
Coach Mickey and Coach Rakes.
Yes. But Fairview just has way too much firepower for the Pilots this season, so taking the Apaches.
Fairview.
Apaches for me.
And Matthew had Fairview as well. Fairview across the board. Next game, Hicksville, 1-2, visiting the Rams, 0-3. Again, Tenora, tough non-conference schedule. Hicksville on the flip side, able to get one win out of their schedule. I think Tenora takes this one. I think this is finally the game. Tenora gets in the win column. I think they win this one big by at least 3 scores. Give me the Rams.
Similar to last year, guys. Rams started 0-3, made a quarterback switch. Owen Farrell's first start last year was Game 4 at Hicksville. I think the Rams get the train back on the tracks and pick up their first W. So taking Tenora.
Yep, Tenora for me.
Go Rams.
And Matthew had Tenora as well. Tenora across the board. Next game, another rivalry game in the GMC here. Paulding 3-0 at Wayne Trace 0-3. I can tell you what, though, I know they're both at two different ends of the spectrum in terms of wins and losses, but there's going to be some physicality in this game.
This is like a Defiance Napoleon to them right here.
It is. I believe a couple years ago or even last year, I mean, these kids are like out there fighting on the field.
Yep.
I mean, there's some bad blood between these schools. So it's going to be a solid game no matter what. At the end of the day, I'm going with the Panthers. Again, they've got some really, really good athletes in Paulding, and I think they take this one. I think this one's probably going to be closer than what people expect.
Yep.
I think Paulding maybe wins this one by 14 or less.
Yeah, I agree with you, Logan. I don't think this is going to be like a 55-0 game, only because this is a huge rivalry game for these two teams. But I think Paulding has just too much talent this year, so taking the Panthers.
I'm gonna go with Paulding.
Tough one for me because I really wanted to pick Wayne Trace at home, but I'm going to go with Paulding.
And Matthew had Paulding, so Paulding across the board from all of us. Next game is going to be the NWO Sports Game of the Week, and that is none other than the Archbold Blue Streaks, 2-1, visiting the Delta Panthers, hosting at home, which we know is a very tough venue to play at. If you guys notice, I don't even have this box filled in. This is the only game on the schedule I did not know. It's literally a coin flip game. I kind of went back and forth. I think I'm going to have to go with the Blue Streaks.
Ooh.
I know Delta's really, really solid, and they're playing at home. That makes me a little nervous picking the Blue Streaks. But if Archbold plays the way they did the first half against Tenora, and we know that Archbold played a really, really good St. Henry team tough, if we get that Archbold team, I think they squeeze out a win in Delta. But they've got to play their best ball because Delta, they're not going to let anything easy go. They got a lot of great athletes. Marcus Nagel, Archbold's going to have to stop the run. You know, guys like Wyatt Klein are going to have to get in there and cause some disruption. I will say that's the one thing that Delta has going for them is, you know, they don't throw the ball much, so Archbold's pass rushers can't get to them. Yeah. So I'm going to go the Blue Streaks on this one. But again, this one's tough. I think this is 50-50 matchup.
Yeah, this is actually a game you'd like to go to.
I would love to.
Be great.
I'm going to definitely try to tune into this one.
Definitely, yes. I'm going to take Delta.
I'm going to go with Archbold.
I'm going Panthers.
And Matthew had Delta, so pretty split across the board on that one, but it's going to be a great game to go. Again, you know, the game we select as game of the week, get out there and go if you're a fan, because it's, you know, pretty much going to be the best one out of all the games we cover. Next game, Brian 1-2, visiting Patrick Henry 3-0. This is going to be the NWO Sports Radio Game of the Week. So check that out on Network One Sports or YouTube if it's available. This one, I think, is clear cut for the most part. I think Patrick Henry, again, we know what they're bringing to the table. Coach Inselman's got a really good squad, a lot of solid athletes. I think Patrick Henry takes this one. I think they get a running clock. Brian, again, trying to struggle to find their identity. Coach Staten is trying to, you know, develop things. We saw a solid win against Bowling Green a couple of weeks ago, but I think the Patriots are going to be too much for the Golden Bears.
Yeah, I think Patriots have way too much talent for Brian. Taking Patrick Henry.
Yeah, PH.
And Matthew had PH as well, so Patrick Henry across the board. Next game, Wauseon 0-3 at Evergreen 3-0. I really like Evergreen in this game. Evergreen's at home. Bryce Bolger and the boys, very athletic, been making a lot of plays all over the field. Wauseon, maybe just a little bit disappointed in them after week one and their strong outing against the Apaches. I thought, oh man, you know, Wauseon might show up something.
Yep.
You know, granted, the Indians have played a tough non-conference schedule, but have dropped 3 in a row. I think Evergreen takes this one. Again, you know, we'll see what Wauseon brings to the table, but I think Evergreen wins this one by a couple scores.
Yeah, this is one of those, Logan, that Wauseon is 0-3, and they played well against Fairview. Just hope that Evergreen does not have a letdown. But regardless, I think Evergreen should win this one. So taking Evergreen.
I'm going with Evergreen.
Vikings.
And Matthew had Evergreen as well, too. So Evergreen across the board. Next game, Liberty Center 3-0 at Swanton 0-3. Wouldn't that be something if Swanton upset Liberty Center?
I'd be lucky if Swanton gets a first down.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think last year Liberty Center won this game. They dropped 70 plus on them. So
it was over by first quarter.
Liberty Center's taking this one easily, running clock. Probably, well, I guess it can only happen in the second half. But if it could, it would happen in the first half. But taking the Tigers.
Yeah, this is, I'm going to say a prayer for Swanton Friday. Tigers all the way.
Tigers.
LC.
And Matthew had Liberty Center. So Liberty Center from all of us. Next game, Summerfield, Michigan 2-0 at Eden 2-1. Don't really know much about some of these Michigan schools. It's kind of hard to follow in terms of, you know, strength of schedule and who they play. Eden's struggled a little bit this season. Unfortunately, haven't been able to cover them as closely. Don't really have many stats. So Eden's kind of a question mark. But I think I'm going to take Summerfield. Again, this could honestly be a coin flip and go either direction, but I'm taking Summerfield.
Yeah, I'm with you, Logan. I'm taking Summerfield just because it's not your typical Eden football team this year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Summerfield. I kind of flopped a little bit.
Same here with me.
And Matthew had Summerfield as well. Next game, Hilltop 0-3 at Whiteford, Michigan 1-1. Now, this, I will say, Whiteford, Michigan, I know has been historically a powerhouse in Michigan football. Yeah. They've made it to the state championship, you know, years. I don't remember if they've won it or not, but going to be a tough matchup for an 0-3 Hilltop team. So give me Whiteford.
Very tough Friday night here. So Whiteford, big.
Whiteford.
And Matthew had Whiteford as well. Next game, North Central 1-2 at Ottawa Hills 1-2. This one made me think just a little bit.
Yeah.
North Central's coming off their first win of the season. Ottawa Hills, we know, has been down this year. But I think I'm going to take the Green Bears being at home. Very well coached team. I know they lost some of their big players. One of them, transferred out. But I like Ottawa Hills in this matchup. I think they get on the board with their second win of the season.
I'm with you, Logan. Green Bears for me.
Ottawa Hills.
I just changed my pick to Ottawa Hills because they're playing at home.
And Matthew had Ottawa Hills. So Ottawa Hills from all of us. Next game, Spencerville 1-2 at Columbus Grove 0-3. Again, I don't think many of us would have thought Columbus Grove would be at this point 0-3 in the season. But I think this is the week that they get her done, especially being at home. Spencerville, is a decent program, but I think Columbus Grove are starting to finally figure out, who their identity is, where things are working, where things not working. We saw their, quality performance against a solid PH team last week. I think they finally put it all together this week and get win number 1. So give me the Bulldogs.
Grove for me.
Grove.
And Matthew had Grove as well. Next game, Lipsick 3-0 at Pandora Gilboa 2-1. This was another game similar to the Archbold and Delta game. I kind of went back and forth. Lipsick's got some playmakers, Mark Kirkendall, Marquise Williams, Pandora Gilboa. I know they're outside of our coverage area. They beat Grove. They came back, got other couple solid wins against Van Buren. I think I'm going to take Pandora Gilboa in this game, especially if they can come back and beat a team like Columbus Grove. And they've showed a couple other solid outings this year. I'm going to take Pandora Gilboa.
I want to pick the upset here, guys. I'm going with Lipsick. Lipsick has some playmakers. Not that PG doesn't, but I like Lipsick here.
They can score in a hurry.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go with Pandora Gilboa.
Yeah, I tossed this around a little bit just because Pandora Gilboa is a home, but I'm with Keith. I like Lipsick.
And Matthew had Pandora Gilboa, so we're split across the board on that one. Next game, Defiance 2-1 at St. Mary's 1-2. Going to be another good game. I don't know really what we're going to get. Defiance is coming off a tough loss to Wapakoneta. St. Mary's, again, is another very prideful program. I believe Michael Hearn, he sent us one of their kids scored, I think, 6 touchdowns in a game too.
Yep.
So very, very impressive on the ground. Again, I think this one's a coin flip, but I think this game's going to rely a lot. We know both teams can run the ball really well. I think this game is going to come down to Colt Ward at quarterback for the Bulldogs. If he can throw the ball and handle it efficiently, we saw the progress he made from week 1 to week 2 playing Napoleon to Ottawa Glandorf.
Yep.
I felt like he really took a big step in growth. I think if he handles the football and is able to get it to some of his, skilled wide receivers out there, I think Defiance wins this one. So give me the Bulldogs.
Yeah, this is a 50-50 game for me as well, guys, but I wound up taking Defiance.
I'm going to go with St. Mary's.
I went with Bulldogs.
And Matthew went St. Mary's, so pretty split on that game. Next game, Wapakoneta 3-0 at Ottawa Glandorf 0-3. This one, I think, is going to be a rough day for the Titans.
Yep.
Wapak is the heavy favorite in the WBL this season. Again, got a lot of talent in their quarterback and wide receivers. So I'm going to take Wapakoneta.
Yep, 4 straight WBL champions, probably going to be 5, so taking Wapak.
Wapak for me.
Wapak for me.
And Matthew had Wapakoneta as well. Wapakoneta across the board. Next game, another WBL matchup. Salina 0-3 at Van Wert 2-1. Like I said earlier, we saw what Van Wert's capable of against a really good Bath team. There's a lot of solid athletes on Van Wert and Crummy and the boys. I think I like the Cougars' chances against an 0-3 Salina team, and I think Van Wert ends up 3-1 in the season. I think Van Wert wins by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah, just offensive everywhere for Van Wert. Despite the loss last week, they should click on all cylinders this Friday versus Salina. So taking the Cougars.
I'm going to go with Van Wert.
Van Wert.
And Matthew had Van Wert as well. Next game, Napoleon 1-2 at Clay 2-1. Another game, kind of sat there and thought back and forth. With Napoleon, they've got the potential, again, similar to, I feel like, kind of where Tenora has been at. They've got some good athletes. They've really stepped up this year, after, they lost a lot to graduation. It's just, can they get over the hump and put together a solid 4 quarters of football? Man, I think they're really, really close. We kind of saw it last year. It took some time to develop throughout the season, but I think Clay is going to take this one. With them being at home, Clay's another solid program. I think Napoleon's right there. I think this game's close. I think it could be, one way or the other.
Right.
But, I'm taking Clay.
Yeah. Until you find out that George Eggers is 100% back, healthy and playing. It's a 50-50 toss-up for me, too, here. Taking Clay.
Clay for me.
Clay.
And Matthew had Clay as well. And you talk about Eggers, just one player, and I know, but they are literally right there.
Yeah.
The Wildcats are right
Difference
there.
maker.
Grohl's been stepping up and running the ball really well. Parsons has been taking care of the football pretty well. They got a whole slew of receivers, too, that have been playing really well. Maybe Eggers is just the piece that puts him over to finally, getting some of these key wins. So hopefully he comes back healthy. Next game, Montpelier 1-2 at Erie Mason, Michigan 0-2. A lot of the TAC schools head into the Michigan schools since the addition. I think 3 Michigan schools:
3.
Summerfield, Erie Mason, and Whiteford all joined the TAC. But we saw what Montpelier and Coach Andy Robinson are capable of against the Edgerton Bulldogs. Really had a great opportunity to win that game. Went for 2, didn't get it. I think this is the week. They're going to get it done, and they're going to end up 2-2 after week 4. So give me the Locomotives.
Yep. Despite the 1-2 record, I think Montpelier's playing well. Taking the Locos as well.
Locos.
Montpelier.
And Matthew had Montpelier as well. A couple 8-man games on the slate. Danbury 3-0 at Holgate 2-0. This one going to be a close one, I think. Holgate's continuing to show that they've got some stud athletes on their team. Danbury really has kind of been a strong player in the 8-man conference. So I think I just like Danbury a little bit more this week. So give me Danbury.
Danbury for me.
Holgate.
Danbury for me.
And Matthew had Danbury. Last game, and I'm so disappointed. The number one fan of the Stryker Panthers is not even wearing his shirt that he got last week. And that's Stryker 1-2 at St. Mary's Central Catholic 3-0. He's going to have to wear it next week, guys. Yep. But AJ is a man of the people. Stryker's his team. I'm sure you can guess what his pick's going to be coming up. But unfortunately, Stryker fans, I'm going St. Mary's Central Catholic. They're 3-0. Stryker's, struggling a little bit here to start, but I'm going St. Mary's.
Yep, St. Mary's for me.
Stryker.
St. Mary's for me.
And Matthew had St. Mary's as well. So AJ going against the grain. All right. Well, guys, that concludes the podcast. Closing thoughts going into week 4.
It's going to be another beautiful night for football. It's going to be a little bit warmer, but it's still going to be beautiful.
Yep. Best 4 weeks we've had to start the season in quite some time, guys. I mean, just perfect. Perfect night. Get on out there. Well, support your local teams. We say it every Friday. So get out. Get out of the house. Go find something to do.
Yep, 100%. I mean, you guys took the words right out of my mouth. I always say that all the time. Get out and support the local high school football teams. Who knows? Maybe get out there and try something from the concession stands. We haven't brought that up yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm looking forward to traveling to Antwerp and getting some fish and chips. Again, I'll starve myself all day, and I'll get 2 orders of the fish and chips at Antwerp. I don't care what the price is. I'm getting that. So maybe that's something for next week. If you guys get a good concession stand item, send us a pic or let us know what the best item of each stadium or school is, and we'll talk about that coming up soon.
Yeah, definitely let us know because we like to eat.
That's right.
Food review.
Yep. So other than that, we just want to thank all of our sponsors: BSN Sports, Bat and Stevens Body Shop, Titan Sports, Fitz and Ryder, Edward Jones and Melissa Stockman, DeLarber Concrete and Hauling, Crystal Fountain Park, Defiance Chiropractic Center, Northwest Ohio Basketball, Remax Realty and Matt Yost, Tenora Rams Live, and the Drop Zone Pizzeria. We'd like to give a special thanks to Defiance Chiropractic again for allowing us to use their facility for the podcast. Stay tuned for the next NWO Sports Podcast in the near future, and thanks for watching.